What's up, Squid Kids? This is Richard Terrell, otherwise known as Kirby Kid, and you are watching Why Salmon Run is the Best Part-Time Job panel at EGX Digital 2020, brought to you by Design Oriented. What is up, everybody? We are the original Smash Brothers. My name is Kirby Kid.
And I'm Marcus.
And we are here to break down the game design of Splatoon 2's horde mode called Salmon Run. The mode in the fiction is run by a gigantic grizzly bear named Mr. Grizz, so we sometimes call this mode Grizzco because that's his company. If we ever say that at any point in this talk, just know we're talking about the same exact mode. But we're here to run over the basics. This game is built out of, or this mode is built out of Splatoon. So if you know nothing about Splatoon, it's pretty much a third-person shooter. And it's a third-person shooter. Instead of shooting bullets, you shoot ink. Whenever you shoot ink on most surfaces, the ink covers the surface, and it covers it in the ink of your color. There's only ever two colors at most. No matter what you're doing in Splatoon, there's only ever two colors. Keeps things nice and coherent and sane. And when you are standing in your color, you get to actually swim down into the ink and go completely invisible. That's a really unique feature. It kind of turns the physical land around the playfield into an ocean of sorts, and you see characters and players all the time dipping down and popping up and dipping down. It also allows you to swim up walls if the walls are covered by ink. It allows you to hide, take cover, do all kinds of things. The ink in Splatoon in particular is one of the most innovative and I think genius aspects of the game. It's also one of the most inventive and innovative aspects of shooters in modern history, I think, gaming history. But it's really cool because it allows you to see where you shoot, exactly with the spots that your shots land, and those where the ink lands turns into a dynamic play space, right? It allows you to travel into those spots, and it prevents your enemies from traveling into those spots. It creates opportunities for stealth, for traversal, all kinds of things, right? When you swim down in the ink, you move faster, but you can't shoot. When you pop out of the ink, you can be shot more easily, but then you can shoot back. All kinds of trade-offs are really built into this really basic system, but overall, it's just beautiful, right? Like, who doesn't want to take a paint gun and then paint the entire surface, every single thing around you, into a specific color? And that's largely what Splatoon's base gameplay is based around. All those reasons make Splatoon's core gameplay great. That's what makes Splatoon 2 one of my most favorite games of all time, but essentially this horde mode builds directly on top of that. Instead of fighting other players in a 4v4 deathmatch, you are 4 players fighting an entire horde of these salmon-type enemy creatures. So anytime we mention the word salmon, anytime we mention the word salmonid, anytime we say the word boss, we're really all talking about the enemies that are in this horde mode. What are the basic rules for how this horde mode works? Marcus, what do you think?
Basic rules, you are going to go for boss salmonids. Boss salmonids drop special eggs. You know the name of those eggs, Richard?
I think they're golden eggs.
We'll call them golden eggs.
Yeah, they're the regular, right? Orange ones are called power eggs, and these are like
keen something. Yeah, golden eggs.
Golden eggs.
You go for boss salmonids who come in 6 types. If you kill those, they drop golden eggs. You take those golden eggs and then you run them up to your base and deposit those golden eggs. Each round has a certain number of golden eggs you need to deposit. In order to get it to the next round, if you succeed in getting enough eggs for 3 rounds in a row, you beat the whole mission and you reset or go to the next round. You win. To the result screen.
Yeah, so the full game is 3 rounds. You survive each round. Each round's timed, right? So you have to not only get all the eggs in the basket, but you got to do it quickly enough and then survive for the rest of the time. And then you do it 3 times in a row, you win the entire game, right? That's all there is to it. So really, what makes Salmon Run hard is, again, the places that you go, but really the monsters that you fight, and that's really the bulk of where we're going to spend our time explaining what's really cool and really what's Mario-like about this mode, right? So we got a couple of bosses to go over and some basic enemies, and we're going to run a really interesting comparison down the line, taking an element from Splatoon horde mode, Salmon Run, and then we're going to compare it to an element that you've probably seen before if you played enough Mario games. Yeah, there we go, the Mario hat. So what's our first example here? So this enemy, this boss, is, again, one of the special enemies in the stage. You have to take these things out in order to get the game-winning eggs, the golden eggs, and collecting them. But let's take a look at this footage here. We got Mario running away from these shadow-like figures. They pop up very briefly. They kind of track your movement. And then when they get close enough, they chomp up at the spot and where you are, and then they go back down and repeat, right? Enemies are very difficult to take out, but apparently those spike balls take them out. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's a really, really interesting Jaws-like enemy type, and we have the same thing happening here in Splatoon. Let me go ahead and click this. Yeah, so when you see a maw going down like that, the little green circles where they appear, and then you see another maw going down there. And sometimes you have to tell your players, hey, there's a maw on you, watch out, because, you know, as busy as it gets in this game, sometimes you just can't see everything. But just like you saw in the Mario... Yeah, go ahead.
Especially when you're shooting at something up in the air, which, you know, takes your eyes off the ground. They really do sneak up on you.
Yeah.
So you need those highlights to come and help you.
We saw a friend who always used to get killed by the moths at the very beginning stages. It was just so funny because we started playing before he did. So we're like, there's a moth. And then he would be like, oh, I can't ever see it. I'm just like, you just have to watch and pay attention. But definitely something fun, a difficult enemy for players to take out at first. But I think you see very clearly in the video, every player in this game, in this mode, is equipped with these little triangular bombs, and if you throw the bomb into the mouth of the maw right when it emerges, it'll actually bite the bomb instead of the player, and it's a one-hit kill. Otherwise, these enemies take a ton of hits if you're just going to shoot the outside. So really, the cat and mouse, the give and take, the interplay here is make sure you have enough ink, make sure the mouse doesn't surround you with its green ink, because you can see everywhere it moves, it leaves its own ink behind. So that's a really clear way to see, like, oh, there it goes, here it's coming. So, another enemy that is in Salmon Run, one more of these crazy bosses that really shake things up, is an enemy that operates a lot like this. You see Mario filling up PD Piranha's mouth, you fill it up enough with a small time window, you get to go in for a big splattering follow-up, right? So I'm going to play this clip here, and we're going to see the same kind of thing happening here with the steelhead. Anything else to say about the steelhead, Marcus?
I would say it's probably the hardest boss salmon to fight against if you are not mindful of your range and or elevation. I see it's very troublesome for a lot of new players because it's very high off the ground, and the way he tilts his head back kind of takes his hip or weak spot out of range sometimes. So if you don't find good angles to come and shoot that head, it's really difficult sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing to note, which I'll describe its basic functionality, is that the steelhead cannot be hurt anywhere but its head. So if you shoot his feet, if you shoot his body, you can see it's covered in metal. I want to get a nice pause on its body. Alright, well, that's nice enough. So you can see its body, there's this pink and or this green bomb filling up on the top of its head, but everything else about the steelhead, that's why it's called the steelhead, is covered in metal. So you can't hurt it any other way than when it's about to attack you, making it quite a dangerous wall. It's just walking at you and you know something's going to happen. Now, another enemy that we have in Salmon Run, Splatoon 2's Horde mode, another enemy is just really a hunk of junk, right? It's actually a small, square, boxy, car-like structure, and all it does is drive around, spurting ink everywhere, and its only goal is to just kind of like bump you, right? It's a bumper car enemy, and yet it's slow, it turns slowly, it moves very straightforwardly, right? But yet it's relentless, and it actually is shielded from the front side like the steelhead, but unlike the steelhead, the back side is always vulnerable. So right there in the center of the screen, you see the Scrapper enemy. It's a small box. Go ahead and show us a Mario equivalent of the Thwomp. Right there. When it reacts to your position, it tries to fall, hurt you, just like that. Classic Bros 3. One of the most straightforward moving enemies in Mario Bros.
The Scrapper is the quickest, fastest land-based salmonid of all the salmonids. So if you ever
the bosses,
see it, yeah, of all the bosses. So if you ever see a pack of bosses coming at you, the Junker is always the one that's going to be racing ahead of them. So if you're worried, it almost moves as fast as your top swim speed, so you can juke it still easily enough. But if you ever juke in the wrong direction or hold up to shoot something, you can bet it'll be at your back bumping you. Depending on where you are elevation-wise, a bump off a platform can be death.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just there to try to ruin your day a little bit. It really doesn't, it hardly does a lot on its own. Right there it is on the screen. It's really there just to bother you, and it actually shoots off a lot of ink. I think that's another interesting thing. Being as fast as you said it is, when it's moving around chasing players, ink is going everywhere. And then if it ever switches target, ink is going all over there too. It's really just a mess. We call it a junker or clunker sometimes. It's a scrapper. It's just made out of a bunch of scraps and pieces. And you can see its ugly little face inside there.
Yeah, especially when it's in that I can't move state, it really shoots off ink.
Yeah, so
and
let's take a
yeah,
look
that can
at
kill you if you're not careful.
So right there, you shoot it a little bit. Ink is shooting out the left and right sides of its exhaust. That ink is just going everywhere. If you think, oh, it's so easy, stop it from the front, swim around to the back and kill it. I've been killed so many times with that ink just flying out like crazy. So it's really just a disgusting, nasty, poorly put together piece of engineering that is perfect for taking out players.
The Scrapper, I think, is the first boss salmonid we talked about thus far that is the teamwork boss salmonid. Usually someone will shoot him in the front to stop him, and then someone will be behind him to shoot him. You rarely do both by yourself, especially when things get heated.
Yeah, it's kind of a good point. All the bosses in this game can be taken out solo, right? And you usually don't need any special equipment. Almost every weapon can take out every boss. It's just sometimes it's harder than other times. But this enemy in particular is really designed for some good old teamwork, right? We say all the time in our call-outs, Scrapper, like, turn him around for me, got it. And, like, one guy just distracts him just a little bit. You got that boss that flips around, and then the back's exposed, and like, yeah. Yeah. Alright, another boss salmonid to cover. This one is a little different from all the other ones. This is one of the few bosses that can actually take to the air, so let's take a look. You see painting up things in order to make as much of the environment your color as possible. That's always a good thing in Splatoon. But as you can see here, something's flying on the right side of the screen. But Marcus, go ahead and show us your Mario clip. Oh, we got an enemy, it's flying. It tries to hit you with something. It leaves ink behind, you must clean it up to get a good shot, and then you drop it out of the sky. So, here we go. Let's take a look at this next clip I have and see if we can see the behavior of this enemy a little bit more clear. Oh, there's the flying enemy. It opens up its chassis, shoots missiles out into the air. And then here comes all the help from the side here, including people throwing bombs in wildly and missing, and then some people landing a hit. Let me just show you. Let me pause on exactly what I mean. Okay. So yeah, this is a flyfish enemy. It's a boss. It leaves golden eggs. These are the kind of things you definitely need to take out to win the game. It flies around, and like a lot of the other bosses we're talking about, completely invulnerable unless it opens up its weak point. So you can just look at it all day. It'll just look at you back and spew green ink below it with its jet-propelled exhaust system. So while you can't hurt it, it's also just kind of wrecking your day. But the real danger comes from when it opens up its two like Rubbermaid like Tupperware containers and launches out missiles from each of those silos, if you will. Right when those silos open, you'll have one, maybe two chances to get in a grenade. But these splat bombs, as they call them, they're grenades, splat bombs. The hard part is these splat bombs take a ton of ink, so you really are committing a lot of your ink to your one jump shot, right? I mean, shout out to the NBA. You got 2 shots on your free throws. You miss them both, you're out of the league. So let me play the clip again, and we'll see what it looks like. That one missed, and then another one got dunked perfectly, right? The splat bombs are also physics based, so you throw them in, and believe me, I've seen this hundreds and hundreds of times. You almost landed in there, and then that tiny little triangle part tips over the side, and if the bomb doesn't land in the basket, it's a no good. It's a no goal, 0 points. And in this case, that first bomb thrown by this player here tumbles out, and it's always so heartbreaking, right? And the angle of that basket matters. The speed in which it's moving matters. If you hit the top lid, sometimes it'll bank in, sometimes it won't. It really is, swish is all you can really bank on, and everything else is leaving it up to chance. Marcus, you have any more basketball metaphors?
Interesting. So this is another teamwork boss, Salmonid.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, a left basket and there's a right basket. A lot of people tend to throw the bombs at the same basket, thus ruining your chance for one cycle for it opening up both buckets. I'm left-handed, so I naturally go, hey guys, I go left. I usually always call left, left, left. And so I always throw it in the left bucket, and everybody else, I don't know why, but they tend toward right bucket. So that's just like a natural teamwork kind of strategy we worked out with our regulars.
It's so funny. There's so many. So like the boss, incredibly simple, free throw evoking, jump shotting boss. It flies in the air. Sometimes you have to jump off of platforms and then throw your splat bomb in midair to land it. Incredible, like basketball NBA moments. But beside that, like you're saying, but it's so funny how something as simple as a left or right requires significant coordination to get perfect, right? I love that.
Oh. The last basketball kind of metaphor for the fly fish. If you're behind the fly, like if you're in front of the fly fish, you're throwing against a backboard and it can fall into the bucket. If you're behind it, it's just like shooting behind the backboard and into a basket. You have to shoot it up at a very steep angle that's very unnatural to anything else you do in the game.
Yeah.
So it's a particular skill that you need to develop just for being behind a fly fish.
That's right.
You feel so good when you hit it.
It's so good when you're like, 2 seconds left, and you're like pretending to dribble, and you're like, yeah, baby. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have a few highlights, but definitely. So again, simple enemy. The fact that you can't hurt it until it's the right moment creates a very specific kind of interplay. It means you have to negotiate space in the meantime, and then you got to pick your moments. Every time you negotiate space, you got to maintain your color ink, but it's also spewing green ink, and all of its friends are spewing green ink. And then you got one shot. You're like, if I miss this, I'm in trouble. Like, I got one shot, Hamilton moment, not going to miss it. And yeah, simple enemy again, doing great work. And because it flies, it doesn't get into the way of all the other enemies. Oh, and to harken back on what we said before, I've had my shot blocked by a stillhead. It is the worst. It is the worst feeling ever. He just rears back. He's like, hey, what's up? And you're like, I gotta make the shot. Bink, falls out. You're like, well, I can only blame myself. Pretty much.
What's going on?
So yeah. Do we got any more bosses? Boom.
There is Stinger.
All right, one more boss. Check this out. Have you ever just, been walking down the street, minding your own business, and then all of a sudden, a gigantic laser just cuts through the concrete and then shoots you in the chest and it fills your mouth with green ink for no reason? That's exactly what this enemy does. I'll show you what it looks like in motion. You're just minding your own business, then all of a sudden, laser through the floor, shoving ink in your face. You try to run, you could feel it tracking you. It's putting ink everywhere. Disgusting. And then you see him right there. His goofy face. Look at that goofy face. I'll show you right there. That goofy face just sitting there on the docks. This enemy, this boss, is called a stinger. And it uses a stingray-like attack to cut through the entire stage. It knows nothing about cover. It doesn't care about collision. It just shoots through the entire stage at maximum potency. And it's incredibly tall, right? What else does it do? Oh, and it never comes inland. It's always, always, always going to be on the shore, making it a tower of doom that you can just see coming from far away. You're like, great. So whenever these guys shoot, they also shoot the farthest player from it. So they're going to be tracing that laser across as much of the stage as possible. We can see this player take the boss out right here in the rest of this clip. There, and you shoot all the little parts until it falls all the way down and it explodes. But go ahead, Marcus, show us a clip from Mario, and let's see what a good analog is to this. So have you ever been playing Mario, minding your own business, and then a wall of flames just starts flying through the air? And then you're like, well, that was weird, but then they keep coming. And they keep coming.
Actually, has a very similar feel. That's funny.
And then, yeah, they're kind of aiming at you, but they're kind of not. And you're like, what's going on here? But yeah, in this game, in the actual original Mario Brothers, Bowser can shoot flames at you from far away. They kept the property going in Mario Maker. So you can see it happening here to an extreme level because there's 3 Bowsers stacked on top of each other, and they deserve this. Can't believe I did all that without getting hurt. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
What the heck? But yeah, that's exactly what the stinger is like. I'm going to show you another clip of a stinger just to show you what that looks like over here. Alright, minding your own business. Nobody around you. Pink everywhere. Oh, and the stingers are an enemy that makes no sound, right? Their sound is, you're being hit by a laser, deal with it. Or as sound as a tell, right? So what I love about the laser is, you know the stingers are tall, you know they're always on the shoreline. So that means if you see a laser at any point, the angle has to be from only a few places. You're never just like, a laser, where could it possibly, you know where it is. It's an angle, it's a laser. If it's pointing up in the sky, you know it's coming from below on the shore. That goofy face. And then even as you're shooting it down and taking it down a peg, it's still shooting you in the face. What a psh. Is this the same clip? No, there's scrappers in this one. Look, 2 scrappers coming up below. I love that about Splatoon, by the way, the verticality and being able to see the trouble coming from a mile away and knowing you're still probably dead. So right when we see stingers, we always call it out, like, Stinger, who's going to go get him? Like, it's always like, who's going to take care of this mess? This time, a lot of people ran down there, grabbed some eggs, get out. Look at all those guys. Ah, the clip. That was the clip where we all rode back on the zip line. But anyway. So, Marcus, tell us a little bit about the Stinger boss.
Stinger boss, because it only shows up at the shore, is always going to be the farthest away boss that's going to be farthest away from
the
the
egg
basket.
Yeah.
So they're annoying enough that you can't ignore them, especially if they double up or triple up stingers. There's just really no way to avoid them, so you have to go down and deal with them. That's not the hard question. The hard question is, are you going to go down there and get all the eggs they drop, all the golden eggs they drop? So that's when you're like, oh, is it, you're just weighing a cost-benefit analysis, like, oh, is it going to be beneficial for all 4 players, 3 players to go down there to the beach, right, and get those eggs from that tower we just dropped and bring it back to the base? Or is it going to be better just to have one person go out there, take care of the threat, bring back that 1 egg, so everybody else can get eggs closer to the base? So that one always makes you choose, especially if you don't have communication with your teammates. It can spell disaster pretty quickly.
To take this boss out, you cannot hit it in the base until, well, you can't hit it in the base at all. You have to hit these segments. So when you're shooting it, you can actually hear it go boing, 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 boing. And then the final segment is where the boss fish falls into the pot of boiling water that it was shooting you with and dies. It's hilarious. It's comedy. It's grade A stuff. It's Looney Tune level. And I'm going to show you the result right here if you can see it. There you go. Nice. So yeah, one more boss down, right? Ooh, you found a cool clip?
Yeah, Pokey.
Oh! Oh,
Yeah,
wait, you had one,
like,
you had one for this? Or did you just think of that?
I just thought of it. I was like, oh shoot, I'm dumb. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
What's with all these non-Mario? Hit a Mario. Yeah.
All right, tell us about Pokey. Oh,
Pokey
wow.
is a-
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
very interesting. Did not know this was gonna happen.
Wow.
Pokey is a large cactus that is stacked end over end to make a towering figure, just kind of like our stinger. You can shoot the head in Mario, obviously, to kill him in one shot, but you can shoot the base and have him drop down floor by floor, basically, until he gets to the bottom, just like our Splatoon boss. So this is a very neat Mario equivalent to the stinger.
Yeah, very form fits function. You see segments, you're like, segments, you gotta do something.
This power block is what, Richard, in Splatoon?
It's the blaster, basically. It's a shockwave.
Or what special is it?
It's the
One
splashdown.
shot. Yeah, splashdown.
That's pretty cool. Metaphors.
Especially if you jump up from high.
That's cool. You just start, you just hit the base, and you're like, you dead. Oh, wow.
Oh, interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that. There's so much to know. So much to know. What is this? Anyway, stop it. Stop it now. Okay. So, cool thing about the Stinger, again, segments, form fits function, allowing that to be a part of the gameplay. If you shoot the base when it's at any level in the Stinger, it just repels your shots. But if you throw a concussive blast, a bomb, or a blaster, or a splashdown explosion, or a splat bomb, you can actually take out multiple pieces at once. That's an incredibly fun way to aim, right? You want to aim where the intersections are. Alright guys, so you've seen most of the boss salmon. There's actually a lot more than that. There's specialty modes and one-time like rare events that pop up that bring in new bosses, each with their own interesting design and unique way to take them out. But for the most part, you're getting a really clear idea of how the bosses work, how they fit together, how they take up a unique role. We made the comparison to Mario Brothers because we wanted to say, hey, a lot of times when you say, look, this game's so great, and people go, oh, that's cool, I'm not making a platformer, I'm making a shooter. You're like, no, stop. Like, design, there's so much to learn from great design and great games, and the example we're highlighting here is applying some of Mario's principles into a completely non-Mario genre and seeing how they shake out. Of course, we didn't make Splatoon, but we're seeing the through line, and we're trying to explain to you that you could do the same thing once you understand it. So essentially, Mario, the greatest platforming series, withstood the test of time. Plenty of different games, plenty of different dimensions, 2D and 3D and multiplayer. It pretty much has done everything there is to do for platformer wise. And really, it really started with Super Mario Brothers. And Super Mario Brothers base design is about layers, right? You got your basic layout, which is just the bricks and the basic shape of your world, nothing too fancy. But then you have Mario, and you can jump around in it. Then you have coins, and coins are optional, but they're really fun to go for. So they give you these really cool ways to manage your own risk reward and up the difficulty of your own experience. And then, you know, that's way better for games to offer that kind of dynamic, player-driven difficulty control. Mario has enemies, and even though the Goomba is one of the most simple enemies you'll ever find in a video game, it's actually quite complex when put in the right places, at the right times, in the right levels. It's really taking that simple design and saying, how can we take something that everybody understands and make it to where it surprises them, make it to where it becomes deadly again, makes it to where new ideas are expressed just from placement alone. That's the power of level design. Mario does that, but all the rest of Mario's enemies are super simple. Bullet bills, super simple. Koopa's pretty complex if you think about it, from Para-Koopa to Walking Koopa to in the shell to popping out of the shell to being kicked. There's a lot going on there, but ultimately the enemy itself, AI-wise, even movement-wise, is pretty simple. And yet Mario comes together to create so much gameplay variety. You can look at Mario Maker 2, Mario Maker 1, or just the Mario series, but Mario Maker 2 alone, millions of levels, so many different genres, so many different styles and varieties, puzzle games, speed run games, mysteries, story games, recreations of old 8-bit games, new style Mario games, co-op, like everything you can think of. People are finding a way to express it because the game builds its complexity in a way that, one, people can understand, and two, they build the simple rules that they have in a way to work together, instead of just be interesting in itself and then be done with it. So everything that we highlighted about Salmon Run, everything we highlighted about Mario, we were aligning their complexity levels, but really the lessons and the takeaways are enemy orthogonality, orthogonality, right? You want your enemies to take up a unique role in your space, and you want that role to actually do something. Now, a lot of times in other shooters, you'll have bullet sponges. You'll have things where the enemies just charge at you all day, and people like sidestep, shoot, sidestep, shoot. These are the kind of things that people don't like, right? You have enemies that, rush you down too fast. You're like, how was I supposed to dodge that? Well, that's because a lot of other shooters are not operating on playing or designing their enemies around what really makes shooters great. And what really makes shooters great is being able to position your character how you want, where you want, making sure that every little movement matters, and making sure that your aim really matters, and giving you different ways to aim, different reasons to aim, different timings to choose your aim, right? And then having that all come together in a space where you make these decisions split second, right? And constantly. So what we see in Splatoon, we see that the bosses force you to engage them in a specific way. We want you to use bombs on the fly fish. We're not going to let you hurt them any other way. We want you to use, you want this enemy to be like a blockade, even though it's very straightforward. You're not going to be able to hit it from four out of its 5 sides. You can't hurt them at all. We want an enemy to separate players. We're going to make this laser. You just got to deal with it, right? So many little things that get players to move differently, aim differently, shoot differently, think differently, time differently. But then when you put them all together, all those differences start to line up and fit together like puzzle pieces. And that's really what makes these amazing moments in Splatoon. You don't die because you don't understand what's going on. You don't die because you didn't have the reflexes. You died because you missed your shot. You died because you made a bad call. You died because you decided to go after this enemy versus that enemy. You died because you didn't revive your play. Like all these little things that are really clear to understand, and when put in a sequence, in a 3-minute sprint to take to win the level, you got this really amazing action game narrative that plays out. Yeah. Anything to add to that?
Besides just functionally fitting together like puzzle pieces, they also visually fit together like puzzle pieces. Stinger being the tallest, Steelhead being the next tallest.
Steel Eel. Oh, we didn't cover the Steel Eel. Oh my gosh, no!
Flyfish being in the air, so they always have a. You can always look up and see them. Drizzlers popping up, leapfrogging from island to island. Like Junkers being on the lower level, but they're always moving the quickest, and then the maws being in the ground as they pop out. You have to keep your eyes, so you can just look on the battlefield and just pick out bosses by height levels, right?
Yeah, it's like the Matt Groening thing, where if you design a great cartoon character, the silhouette should just be like, bam, that's Bender. There's nobody else, right? You see these bosses like, we are dead. That's a Steelhead. We are dead, over and over. Yeah, and like the enemies are slow, right? They have one way to defeat them half the time, or just a really simple way to deal with them. You can see them coming. Their presence is forewarned with this horn that goes off. And yet, with all this information, is there for you to like actually it's easy to understand them on the individual level, but when you put them all together, it becomes complex. You saw that stage. It was a large tower, right? Three-dimensionally, sure, you can look over the side and see these enemies, but what about those enemies? What about the enemies at your back? What about the enemies on the second level? Like, yeah, they're moving slow, but when you start to really put it all together, you have this incredible 3D map going on. And like you said before, the angle actually matters. The verticality in Splatoon actually matters. Besides the enemies being tall or having a bad angle where you're trying to like shoot a bomb to a basket or hit behind on a scrapper, yeah, the angles matter. Like enemies will block each other. There's all kinds of like really large enemies that will block the little ones, and if you can shoot down on top of them, it becomes a different aiming than when you're shooting on the side of them. Everything matters, right? And it's so simple, and that's why I have the most fun with this game. Just as some quick pointers, it really avoids all the stuff that I really don't like about modern games and shooters. It has zero RPG elements whatsoever, zero character customization, zero stat and loadout matching for the beginning of the game. All you do is, I want to play, you hit the button, it matches you up with 3 other players, or you bring 3 other friends and you start playing. The weapons that they give you are randomized, so you never have to be like, but I want to play my favorite weapon. I don't want you to play your favorite weapon. It's random. You just go in, you start playing, and every round, round one of the 3, you get a different weapon of that set. So this could be your favorite weapon on round 1. It could be your least favorite weapon on round 2. You got to deal with it, right? It's all about adapting. It's all about everything being on the fly and you making the decisions in the moment rather than, I invested 10 hours into this character to level up a gun that can't be beat. Therefore, let's go. Let's play, guys. Come on. Like, it doesn't have any of that. I love this game. It's pure action game. Alright, this level, the Ruins of Arc Polaris, the latest and newest level added to the Salmon Run roster, and it is the craziest level. So you can see zip lines, you can see crazy tilted surfaces, and a whole bunch of action happening on all 4 sides of this cubic-like structure. One of the things we always do to start is paint up the area, because where there is no ink, where there is no color, there is no movement, and movement is incredibly important when surviving. But randomly, every so often, you'll be called to a different part of the same level to fight the battle in a completely different area, and this is what we call the low tide area. And you can see
LTA.
LTA area, and you can see that enemies are coming. So that's the scrapper we talked about before, and this is me soloing the scrapper, and you can see how long that took. I had to shoot it from the front, circle to the back, and already our rando is dying off to the side. But here's another scrapper to demonstrate just how long it's taking. I'm going to throw a bomb on the one side, swoop around to the right, and try to take it out, but I need a little help.
Here I come in from above.
So really, that is definitely a teamwork boss Salmonid, but we're going to see a couple of others. Here's a Drizzler we didn't talk about. It shoots a missile, and you can either try to shoot it or reflect the missile back at it for a one-hit kills. Very fun boss to line up your shots and try to get the most efficient kill possible.
You can see that steelhead walking across the bay. This guy's going to be a problem for us. He's going to kill at least 2 of us.
So our guns don't have the appropriate range to just snipe it from afar. So as you can see, even walking close to that monstrous towering beast, it's not easy. Especially when you start looking up, you start to lose track of what ink you're stepping in. And look, it's all messy over here. Look how messy this is. Not good. So right
this time? Yes.
And then I'm tracking the eel, and the eel's following me around the basket, and nobody can walk through the steel eel's inky green ribcage like structure. So whenever it's wrapped around the basket, nobody can actually deposit the eggs for the win condition. Eels are incredibly dangerous. One boss that we did not go over, but you can see it's still pretty straightforward, still pretty deadly.
So before we had a low tide area where we have more space, and this is what you call a high tide area where we have the least amount of space.
So you can see a lot of the contrast. This one stage can provide many different tactical, spatial battlefields, all depending on if the water is high or low. So this is a teamwork scrap right there. We all took care of it from multiple sides. And as you can see, one of those stingers is rising up on the opposite side of the course. So I'm going to take this zip line all the way around, and I'll take care of it while everyone else is on the shore doing their thing. I'm like, I got it, guys, I got it.
but now I'm in trouble. So I got my friends to come back me up.
I don't think I come and save you.
Well, you're not my
somebody else
friend.
is gonna
You're
get
my brother. So then we got a few golden eggs, 11 out of 15. Not a very high quota by any means, but this is still dangerous, right? The enemies, the bosses are walking straight up into the base practically, and I do a crazy jump there just to stay alive. Flyfish, remember the flyfish. Throw bombs into the basket, but there's 3 of them in a row, so check this out. Boop! Deposit 1, fly on by, leave the... and then I kill myself like an idiot. Ignore that, I'm going to cut that out. It's already cut.
So at this point, we have multiple entryways into the base, and we've lost control of almost all of them. So that's why we're being overrun right now.
And the flyfish take a long time just to kill individually, let alone if there's 2 or 3 right in a row. That's really an opportunity for a player to pop one of their special attacks and take them out with supreme prejudice.
Right there, you saw Richard get hit by a flyfish missile, which by itself is easy to dodge because they have a tail. But if the missile is homing someone else and you walk into their space unknowingly, you get easily bopped and killed.
It's one of those classic multiplayer cooperative complexities, right? If there are enemies that track or home into your player position, it becomes that much more complex when you have multiple co-op players because an enemy can go from them to you to them, and all of a sudden you can't predict their random ways. Cowabunga.
Normal tide level. We all be cool on the rail and...
Nah, I swear I've seen a Ninja Turtles episode that happens just like that. That's what I call a cowabunga moment.
I think when they go off the skyscraper in the cartoon. Anyway.
That's like the first episode from the original cartoon series. I'm dating myself.
I call the first episode. I don't know if it is.
So what I love about Splatoon's Gritzko, especially this stage, is the verticality. I'm looking at enemies all the way down the way and battling on 3 different fronts, high, mid, and low. Another teamwork kill right there, and back up to the top. Flyfish in the distance.
This level is finding a boss a minute to fight sometimes because there's so much area to cover.
And then when you find some, you could just be in a in a world of trouble. Right there, there's a steelhead explosion, a flyfish, and a stinger. But then I right away, fade away jumper, baby. And then I come back into explosions and chaos. I'm like, what have you guys been doing?
Home, yeah.
What have you guys been doing? This is crazy.
We get to quota pretty early in our timer, but we still almost died because you have to last to the end of the round to have a successful mission.
Yeah, so it's not just about getting the eggs in the basket. You really have to make sure you stay alive or a teammate is there to back you up. Now there's multiple scrappers, and we saw earlier the scrappers are not too big of a deal, but when there's no space and they take up a good chunk of it, that's a roadblock. You got to find another way around. And this is exactly what I'm doing.
The scrappers, the fastest salmonid. So the first salmonids up to the first box is up to the base of the scrappers in the mall. The mall who ignores terrain geometry, and scrappers are the fastest.
No, so like instantly 3 rounds down. This goes by so fast. The action is happening 360 all around you, and it's just so much fun to play. And that is just a small glimpse of all those different dynamics, stage, elevation, boss, interplay, all that happening in a 6-minute sprint. But I hope you guys see exactly why we love this game. One of my favorite games of all time, Salmon Run from Splatoon 2. Wiggle your fingers, y'all. Don't do that. There's a lot of good in so many different games. It's not just your favorite games that have the good stuff. It's every single game. You probably have something to learn from. Breaking down their design becomes essential. It really helps you understand the games, play better, and really be better designers. So if you're a game designer out there and you're looking to up your craft, step your game up, I really recommend breaking games down on a regular basis. And especially the games you play the most of, you should know those things inside and out. You should be able to make a talk just like this and be like, let me talk about one aspect of this game and take like an hour. Hopefully we haven't taken too long, but essentially we encourage that kind of thing in our community. Our community is called Design Oriented. We do this kind of thing all the time in our voice chats all the time, on our streams all the time, and it's never ending. This just helps us appreciate games better, and you learn a lot about games you didn't know, right? You want somebody to show you why they love a game rather than just like read a review score and be like, not for me. So we do that kind of thing all the time. We welcome you to join. We are at designoriented.net. And until next time, guys, happy hunting and the part-time jobs. Bye.